Case number 503. Jeremy Chandler has asked me to investigate his partner, Ace Douglas, whom he suspects of embezzling $90,000 from their investment firm. After interviewing several clients of the investment firm and careful study of financial records, I can say that Ace Douglas is a prime suspect at this point.
Hey!
Dan!
My partner's been shot in my 300 Brook Street. We need an ambulance here now.
Oh, Rick.
Hey Dan, how's it going?
Say, why don't you come on in? Are you sure you don't want me to get you some coffee or something?
Yeah, I can only stay for a minute.
Oh. What's going on? I stopped by because I want to talk to you about a case. Jeremy Chandler, dead?
Yeah, he died 2 weeks ago. It's been ruled a suicide, but his cousin thinks otherwise.
And he suspects Douglas, right?
Yeah, I thought you maybe want to solve the case and get some closure on what happened.
Not a private investigator anymore, Rick.
You and I both know that there's more than a chance that Douglas has something to do with this.
Douglas is a dangerous man.
I know you got it in you.
Rick, I know that's what you're hoping for. You keep asking for my advice on cases. You've left my name on the business, but the fact is, I'm not coming back.
You could change that if you wanted. I understand what happened to you was traumatizing, but you sitting here feeling sorry for yourself instead of trying to catch him, it's not good for you.
You didn't spend 6 agonizing months in the hospital fighting for your life.
You're right, I didn't. But if I did, I'd want to catch the guy who did it the second I got out. Well, if you change your mind, you know where to find me. I'll let myself out. So he was found dead lying here?
Yeah.
And he died from carbon monoxide poisoning?
Yeah, that's right. He was sealed in this garage with this idling car. He didn't kill himself. He couldn't have. That's why I hired you to work this case. I'm sure Douglas has something to do with this.
Let's not jump to any conclusions yet.
Just bring the killer to justice. That's all I ask.
I will.
Thanks, Rick. Say, how's Dan doing these days?
He's doing alright considering what happened. I just wish we could have done more. I talked to Jeremy's cousin, and he said that Jeremy moved on with his life and the suicide seems suspicious.
Rick, that doesn't necessarily prove anything. You and I both know that when people are suicidal, they often go to great lengths to mask the pain.
Dan, come on.
You need to stay out of this. You know how dangerous Douglas is.
What happened to justice should always be served.
I woke up and faced the facts.
Yeah, I told him I wanted a 4-point counter. Why would I ask him to do that? He's going to lose his butt in the whole deal. Listen, I know what I'm talking about on this. He's going to back out the last minute, and you're going to end up holding the whole bag.
What are you doing on this planet? I come from a civilization known as the Inks. Our planet is crumbling. Hello? Oh, Sergeant Williamson, what's up? Hanging in there, how about you? Oh, the Ed Moran case. Yeah. That's going back a couple of years. I guess it's in my files upstairs. Do you think I could call you back in like 10 minutes after I find it? Alright, great, thank you. Bye. Ed Moran. Case number 503. Jeremy Chandler has asked me to investigate his partner, Ace Douglas, whom he suspects of embezzling $90,000 from their investment firm. After interviewing several clients of the investment firm and careful study of financial records, I can say that Ace Douglas is a prime suspect at this point.
Hey!
Financial records. I can say that Ace Douglas is the prime suspect at this point.
Hey!
So, Mr. Douglas, you don't know what happened to the $90,000?
No, if I knew, I'd tell you.
Voice match identical.
Rick, it's me, Dan.
Dan, what are you doing in the office this late?
I came across a recording of the day I was shot. I analyzed it against the interview we conducted with Douglas last year. Guess what?
It was a match.
That's right.
Alright, I'll be right over there. It's definitely a match.
Now we have the foundations of our case. But we need to build a solid case against Douglas. We know he embezzled thousands from Chandler. We know he was probably responsible for Chandler's death. But we need solid evidence of all this. We need to prove his involvement.
That's more like it.
I'm working with you on this case because Ace is a particularly dangerous man who needs to be taken off the streets. It's not my big comeback or anything.
You might change your mind once you get back into the swing of things.
Let me see your case files. embezzlement.
I'd say so.
He was supposed to be pulling in $200,000 a year, but last year he only pulled in $110,000.
How can you prove it was Douglas?
Because if you remember, before I was shot, we talked to investors, accessed his credit cards, and found that he spent a grand total of $90,000 on gambling debts. The same amount of money that was missing.
And now you found the other piece of the puzzle.
Yes, 2 plus 2 is 4. Or rather, 200,000 minus 90,000 is 110,000.
So now we have proof of the embezzlement.
And a motive for his other crimes.
So what exactly are we looking for?
Remember, there is an ongoing investigation. I'll bet you anything Douglas was sending him threats.
Like this?
Exactly like that. Today, Rick and I visited the house of the late Jeremy Chandler. In the house, we found a letter warning the late Jeremy that if he testified against Douglas in court, he would die. According to his cousin Ronnie Chandler, he'd received it in the mail 2 days before his death, which in my opinion could never be a coincidence. After looking at Rick's case files, I noticed that Jeremy's car key had been broken off in the ignition, and the other half was still missing. Additionally, the coroner's report showed that Jeremy Chandler had a blood alcohol content of 0.30 in his system at the time that he died. This is enough to render a man unconscious. Rick and I both agree that a person trying to kill themselves would not go to all those measures to prevent themselves from committing suicide. We both suspect Douglas at this point, but have no real evidence. This is what I think happened. The evidence was in Jeremy's favor. Ace knew that it would be bad if they proved his guilt, so he sent Jeremy the threatening letter to deter him from submitting the evidence. When that didn't work, Ace decided he'd have to kill Jeremy. He had to make it look like a suicide, so he waited for Jeremy to come home after a night at the bar. He probably gave him some whiskey in a beer bottle so he would be disoriented or even pass out. He got Jeremy to sit in the car, broke off the key in the ignition, took the garage remote, and left, leaving Jeremy to inhale the exhaust and die. Unfortunately, we have no real evidence to prove my theory. Luckily, there are other ways to find the evidence we need. So let's go over the plan one more time. I'm going to go into his house and search for anything suspicious. Meanwhile, I want you to stay in the car and keep a lookout in case he comes back.
Dan, maybe I should go into the house instead. You can't move very fast with your bum leg, and if you gotta make a run for it, you might not be fast enough.
And in case of trouble, evidence bag. So, Rick, how are you gonna get in?
You got a paperclip? Nothing over here.
Good luck.
Thanks.
in. Okay, good.
Dan, I found the next.
Good job, my friend. Keep digging. Rick, get out of there quickly. He's on his way. Damn it. He's too close. Stay hidden. I gotta go around the corner so he doesn't see me. I'll wait there for you. Get out when it's safe.
Hey, guess who I just caught snooping around my place? Dan Bradley and his little partner. Yeah? Well, what should I do? Yes, I will.
So, you found this magazine and this key in that house.
That's right.
Great work. I'll bring the key down to Angela.
Should I go with you?
No, stay here and see if you can match the letters cut out of the magazine to the threatening letter.
Okay, good luck.
Alright, I'll get back to you.
It's Douglas, all right.
Just as I suspected. Thanks, Angela.
Good luck with the case, Dan. It's good to see you back.
Thanks.
And what's the verdict?
They were Douglas's prints.
Good, he'll have a hard time explaining that to the judge.
How goes the letter matching?
I'm not having much luck.
Why not?
The letters don't match at all, and the ones that do aren't in the right typeface.
That's odd.
Wait, I think I know why the letters in the magazine don't match. Someone planted the evidence in his house.
Of course.
You solved the case, didn't you?
Yes, I'll tell you when I get back.
Hello? This is Ace Douglas.
Douglas, what do you want?
I have Dan Bradley with me, and I want you to come to me so we can discuss, terms of the case. I want you here in 30 minutes. And if you're late, it won't be pretty for Mr. Bradley. You can find me where Jeremy Chandler died. And don't even think of contacting the police. Bradley will pay if you do. Come on in, Rick. Close the door, please. Right back where you were.
What do you want?
Douglas, you up the case?
That's what you want. It's not gonna happen.
The first thing I want to do is to relieve you of your weapon.
Let the law take care of him. So you solve the case?
Yes. It was originally Douglas who embezzled the money, tried to kill me, and of course, killed Jeremy Chandler. But Ronnie Chandler, who was the accountant for the business, must have noticed the irregularities in the books. He probably confronted Douglas about it, and they most likely came to an agreement to kill Jeremy and make it look like a suicide so they could both inherit the investment firm, which was left to both of them in his will. But unknown to Douglas, Ronnie had never planned on sharing the inheritance. He asked Ace for the broken car key after the murder, probably claiming he could dispose of them, so he could plant them in his home. The magazine didn't match the letters cut out for the note because the one you found in his house was cut up and planted by Ronnie as further evidence. Ronnie had to make sure he wasn't implicated in the crimes at all, so he made a bold move. He called you. He knew that you'd want to take down Douglas for what he did to me, so he gave you the evidence you'd need to prove him guilty. It was quite brilliant, really. By hiring a private investigator, he ensured no one would suspect him, and with Douglas as the fall guy, it was nearly the perfect crime.
Dynamic deduction, Mr. Bradley.
Ronnie, thank God.
It's too bad you didn't do this for me, because now I got 3 murders on my hands. By the time they find your bodies, I'm gonna have the bank accounts all cleaned out and out of the country.
Can't, but how? I thought I'd be better prepared than last time. Well, you certainly did that. Okay, we'll be right there.
That's the case.
Justice isn't always carried out in a courtroom. Sometimes, fate is the judge. Douglas thought he could evade justice. He almost succeeded, but caught in the tangled web of his own greed-driven scheme, he received the death penalty without ever attending a court. Ronnie's fate was much different. He faced justice in a more traditional way. His crimes were enough to put him away for life, and he'll have enough trouble avoiding the death sentence himself in the months to come. You cannot outrun justice. It's more than just the law. It's a universal balance, unbiased, incorruptible, and inevitable. This is Dan Bradley. Case closed.